Hello friends and enemies, welcome to or back to Happy for Now. It's me, Isabel, here with my January wrap-up. I didn't read a ton in January. I read, and we're still going to do highs, lows, favorites, and stats and all that good stuff here instead of going throughout the 11 things I read. Anyways, we'll talk about it. I feel like I covered everything in the vlog, so doing it this way makes sense to me. But also, I feel like this was an abnormally low reading month for me overall. Even with my manga added in, I didn't hit 30. And I feel like that's kind of normal for me to be like 15 and 15-ish, 20 and 10. I usually am in the 20s or in the mid-teens at least. And yeah, I think the stress of the world obviously is hitting big time in January. Also, that contemporary slump I've been talking about. So we'll kick this off. Let's just dive right into my stats because they're not that interesting. Although we did add 2 new stats this month, which is new to me authors and debuts. So that's exciting. So I read 9 books. I DNF'd 2 books and my page count was 2,761, which does not include DNF'd books. I do not put a page count or a rating in for my DNFs, but they track in my spreadsheet. So I think my spreadsheet says I read 11. I read 9 if we take out those DNFs. My average rating was a 4.5, which is not that bad. I honestly thought this was going to be a lot lower with how I was feeling about my reading, but I did read some really, really good books. And I read some things I really enjoyed, but I also read some things that I just was on, and that's never fun. Age demographic wise, I read 9 adult titles and 1 YA. Formats, it was 6 ebooks and 5 audiobooks. I take that back. That was missing one. I read 3 new to me authors and 3 debuts this month, which is great. I've been doing that ARC project this month, which you have 2 videos for. One where I read a large portion of my January ARCs, and then February, March kind of got canned because I'm fighting perfectionism in my content and in things that I need to do. So I just kind of said, I'm not going to read these because I'm not in the mood for contemporaries. And I think forcing myself to read a contemporary I'm not going to love is not worth it. And I don't think it's fair to these books always for me to push through when I'm not feeling a thing. So for my lows / DNFs, we have Wooing the Witch Queen. This was a cozy fantasy. I would be interested to revisit this at some point. I was not in the mood for a cozy, so I DNF'd this really quickly. This follows a queen of a land. It was like a village. No, this follows a queen of a land type situation. She is on her journey to help fight this bad land and this prince who's on the run and becomes the librarian in her town. This is interesting, but it is super cozy and super slow paced, which is not what I'm in the mood for right now for some reason. I thought I would be in the mood for that right now, but I am not. I don't really know what my mood is. I just know what's not working, and so when something's not working right now, I'm bailing very quickly because we can't. We have to. Okay, we have a visitor because she wants to keep moving the camera. The other DNF this month was Never Planned on You. I was really excited for this book. I still think it has a great premise, which is there's a one-night stand in London and then we're years later and they run into each other in Baltimore. This, for me, I DNF'd it for 2 reasons. 1, my contemporary slump I'm in, but 2, the other reason for the DNF on this one is I was really sad that we had a fade to black moment right in the beginning to show their chemistry that they had for this one night stand. And second of all, a lot of the conversation with her family kind of hinged on how less than great she is in their eyes and how she doesn't have it figured out and she's just a disaster. And I'm just not in the mood for that right now. I just didn't have it in me to read about someone who is being viewed as a failure by her entire family. Sometimes that trope works for me really, really well, and sometimes I'm just like, I don't want to read this right now, and that was the mood I hit when I started this, so we did DNF. I do plan to revisit it at some point. I potentially will get an audiobook arc from the publisher, and if I do get an audiobook arc of it, I will probably try it that way, because I would be curious to see what I think. Let's talk about my surprises and the things that really stood out to me this month. And then we'll talk about my highs, which would be my 3 favorites. Again, are we almost talking about everything I read? Yes, but it's fine. It's fine. So surprises. A Bond Me for Two. Fantastic. A Bond Me for Two is a YA romance, contemporary, but it is a college exchange program, and the girl on the exchange loves this food blogger's work. And they end up meeting, and it's their romance, and it's really, really cute, and she kind of helps her work through some things that she's dealing with, and the loss of a parent and all that. It was really good. It was really cute, very sweet. Felt like a change of pace from your typical adult romance contemporary. So it worked for me because of that, I think. Next, we have She Doesn't Have a Clue, which also really surprised me. This is a rom-com mystery romance. This is about an author who writes mystery books, and her book plot starts coming to life at her ex's wedding. and she's there, and this guy she's had a crush on is there, and it's just that entire plot. And I thought this was a really fun book. I think it blended the romance and the mystery elements really nicely and set up for like a really fun story. I was very engaged by it. I think the mix of a contemporary with that mystery element really, really worked for me with the contemporary slump I have going on right now also. So there's that. Then we have Unromance by Erin Connor, another contemporary. Again, these were early in the month before the contemporary slump hit, and I think this is part of why I ended up in a contemporary, like a just straight contemporary slump. This is a soap opera star and a romance author have a meet cute in an elevator. They get stuck there together, and he is someone who just falls in love too quickly and too easily, and because of that they decide to fake date and break his like instant love mindset, romantic mindset, and it's to help her finish her book. And they fall in love. It's really fun. They do a lot of rom-com tropes and play tribute to a lot of rom-coms in a really delightful and fun way. So I definitely think it's a great option if you're looking for something kind of silly, goofy, and very funny. I giggled a lot. It's pretty steamy. This is a really strong book. And then we're going to talk about my highs, which are 3 sports romances. And that should surprise no one because I talked about this in my reset. I don't always consider a sports romance the same thing as a contemporary romance, and for that reason alone, these 3 really worked for me this month, and were 3 very anticipated releases, so like that was a relief to me that I loved these so much. First, we have Spiral. This is the second book in the Clyde series. This follows a hockey player who has been deemed a total playboy disaster, and our ballet dancer. She's like teaching classes and just trying to squeak by in life as much as she can. She doesn't really have good family support or any of these things, but her uncle is the general manager for his hockey team. So there's some tension there when they do meet and start fake dating. Basically, they fake date to help rehab his image, but then fall in love in the process. She very much struggles to ask for help, and he is like, why are you not asking me for help? I'm happy to help you with this. And is like, also, the benefit of them fake dating is it raises her attention in the ballet world to hopefully get cast in some of these parts she really wants, and basically they're kind of like meshing the two to make that happen. But yeah, he's like been labeled this big playboy, and he is not. Like, he has no interest in it. He just wants to score his first NHL goal. Like, that's his main priority. It was really fun. It was really cute. I really, really enjoyed how it all played out and worked together. It does have a lot of childhood trauma issues with the character, our ballet dancer's parents, and that stuff, as well as some stuff with, but I just really enjoyed their dynamic. It also has an intense slow burn because, and this is what I like, when I say a slow burn and I like it, like this is what I like in a slow burn. Basically, he's celibate and has been for a while because he doesn't want to be distracted from his goal, which is a goal in a game. But it has the slowest build up burn. It's so horny, and I love when a slow burn like this is very, very horny, and that is exactly what's happening here. Oh, I had such a good time. Also, he does like skincare night with her, which is really cute because she's like not had friends, and we see her getting brought into the friend group from Collide, as well as just in general like getting more attention. And I love that. Like, I love that she got to make friends, and that he was like, I'll skincare with you. So they're doing like Hello Kitty masks and stuff. Very funny, very adorable. Such a good time. Highly, highly recommend. Oh, I had so much fun. Then we have Deep End, or Wet, as I still will call it. This is the newest Allie Hazelwood. It comes out tomorrow if you're watching this on Monday. Another, so a very, very steamy sports romance. This follows a college Olympic swimmer and a college diver. She's trying to recover from a really bad dive that she had. And he is a swimmer, and he was dating their captain of the dive team, and they've broken up, and she like overhears this. And then when the captain finds out that she's also into kinky things, she's like, you two should date. You two should really date. So she kind of tries to like force them together. And it's very, very funny because there's a lot of tension around like people not knowing they're broken up and then seeing these two together. There is some other woman / the ex drama who she's like become friends with, but that is, I thought, sorted really nicely at the end and also handled really well overall. I think it made sense for the story and it worked well because Lucas was like, no, we broke up and like that's that. I'm still friends with her, but like what we meant to each other in the moment is very different from what we mean to each other now as like 20-something-year-olds. We have a fantastic grand gesture in this one as well. We also have childhood trauma stuff with our heroine and her dad, and our hero who lost his mom. So know that going in. But I thought this was a really fun play in some kink dynamics, and also again very, very steamy, very, very fun to read, and I can't recommend it enough. I had such a blast. This is definitely a 6-star favorite. It is probably my favorite read of the month, so there's that. And then last but not least on my sports romance train, we have Unloved. This is the new Peyton Corinne, and the feelings I have about this book, oh boy. This follows 2 characters we met in book 1. So we follow the best friend from book 1, and we follow Maddie, who they're like, you two cannot date. But lo and behold, they have actually met previously. She becomes his tutor. So this one is college romance. They build this amazing, beautiful friendship, and that friendship develops into more. And that friendship is based on her tutoring him and helping him work through his learning disabilities, which include like dyslexia and dyscalculia and having ADHD. And it was beautiful. I do believe I cried reading this. I think this is the one book that made me cry last month. And I feel like I felt a lot of connection to Maddie, our hero. And this is the one, his dad was a kind of reject NHL player situation, and his dad like calls him and berates him all the time. But he also has this really fantastic stepdad who wants to be there for him, and he's lost his mom early in his college career. And in that loss kind of became this epic playboy of sorts. And the characters in book 1 are like, you guys, like, you need to be careful with her, don't break her heart, and all this stuff. And Ro is just like homesick. She is from like California, and she misses her family, and there's some stuff with her dad having had a stroke right as she was graduating high school, and like she's very homesick, and it was just elements of it were so relatable and heart-wrenching. I loved this book so much. I cannot wait for more in this series. I really think these have been like phenomenal emotional college romances that hit the spot on emotions and also fun plot and like delivering out on the promise of the premise. This was so good. If I hadn't read Deep End, this probably would have been the favorite of the month. But yeah, this also hit the spot for me in so many ways. And again, I think this is the other struggle I had in January. Is like I read a lot of really fantastic things, and then I was just like, I can't read more of these things. None of them will be as good. So that's kind of where we ended up. So yeah, that is everything I read this month. At least that's almost everything I read this month. If you're curious, I'll have those videos linked down below for you. A lot of them are in those ARC vlogs, so those are there. I would love to know what you read and loved or hated in January. Are you on track for your goals? Are you off track? I'm definitely a little bit behind on my reading goal right now, which is 300 total between manga and books. But I'm okay with that because again, we're 1 month in, there's time. And I'm always willing to adjust my goals down if needed. I'm not afraid to move things around if I feel like the year's just not panning out how I wanted it to. If you don't do any of that, you can leave me a cat emoji because Peace has been all over this tripod and all over my legs this entire video because she didn't want to be held, but she wanted to touch me at all times. Go figure. I will have links to everything down below, links to be my friend anywhere on the internet that I am, and I will talk to y'all in just a few days. Bye!
Already packing, come with me. I'm not really asking. We'll get away to a place where we don't know. About to see the world in action, what we can be. Life with no distractions. We'll get away. This is what we waited for.